addicted to? And what did this world do to you? What will it take to get you through? And how long has this had a hold on you?
Edition of Addicted2. I'm just sitting here with my friend Joanne. So, welcome.
Thank you.
So we met about 25 years ago, really, when I was just an apprentice in HVAC and you were selling filters. That's how our relationship started.
Yeah.
And then we met years later in the rooms.
Yeah.
So it came around full circle, really. And then through that journey, we've been through a lot, the both of us.
Yeah.
And now, so would you like to talk about a little bit about how you got sober?
Yeah. So for me, I got sober the first time in 2007. And I had 5.5 years sobriety at one point, and I went and did a course through Access Mental Health for a 30-day inpatient. It was outpatient course, and once I got out of that course, I thought, gee, I know all about myself now. I don't think I'm an alcoholic. I'm just crazy. And I ran with that. Like for 4 years, I was okay with being crazy, but I really didn't think I was an alcoholic. And so I went back out for 4 years and literally burnt my life to the ground. I got into, this was right before I quit drinking the second time. I was in a relationship with a guy, and my daughter and I ended up in a women's shelter after 9 months living with him. Signed over a bunch of money to him, and he just booted us out. And, so I thought, okay, live and learn, lesson learned, And I had some things going on with work after I got out of the women's shelter. I started working for another filter company in Calgary, and that didn't last. But I went on to start a cleaning company for 7 years. And Sean, then you became another customer.
That's right.
with cleaning, and I absolutely loved it. I had. At one point pre-COVID, I had 13 girls working with us for my company, and we were doing about 20 to 25 cleans a day and just rocking it. And I thought, life is great. It can't get better than this. And I was sober at this time. I had sobered up, and my sobriety, which was... it was really cool because this time, I did get sober again. And it was in June 7th of 2017 that I sobered up the second time. And I started my company around June 1st of 2017. So my sobriety and my new company went together. So it was, for me, that's actually where I like to say I found my God in a toilet, because everything that... like my spiritual experiences all came through work stuff. Like it would be, I'll just give you one example. Like I was supposed to do a clean one day down in DeWinton, and it was raining and snowing, and it was just crappy weather. And my customer called and she said, Joanne, I don't really think you should be driving out here. It's really stormy today. So just take the day, we'll cancel. And now the old me would freak out. And now what am I going to do, right? How am I going to pay my bills? And right? But I didn't. For some reason, I was just calm about it. And I grabbed a coffee. I was over actually in the Copperfield area, New Brighton, and grabbing a coffee. And I sat in the parking lot for a minute, and I was going through Facebook. And there was a post up saying, if there's anybody close to New Brighton that could clean for me today, that would be awesome, because my cleaner had to cancel. And I'm like, hey, I can do that for you. I'm right around the corner. And I walked in the door, and this lady she was crying, and she said her mother-in-law was coming for a holiday and her house was a mess. Turns out that she had fibromyalgia, which is also a disease that I have. And so I cleaned for her. I knew I was going to be there. She gave me permission to do 8 hours in her house that day. So, of course, I'm in the bathroom. Like, I have fibromyalgia and I take I go up in flares and I'm not supposed to be cleaning. So I'm, as she's crying out in the living room, I'm crying in the bathroom in pain,
Yeah.
And, but when I left that day, she said, Joanne, you really gave me hope. I was ready to give it in, but to see that you've been able to get your life back and be able to do this gives me hope. And so it gave me a purpose to just if that's all people, because when we went into people's homes, it just changed things for me, and it changed things for them when they came home. Like, there's not a better feeling to coming home to a clean, sparkling, clean home, especially like if you're not feeling good or whatever, right? So a lot of these, I call them God shots, would happen throughout my sobriety, that it just built my spirituality and my conscious contact with God. It built it quite high. And so there was quite a few of those times that happened. And I'm still sober today. So I just celebrated 8 years in June, and life's been fabulous up until recently.
Yeah. So we're going to get into it because, that's what you're here for. So I have to ask how you're feeling.
Well, I'm feeling pretty sick these days. I'm on a lot of medication. I just, in July, I got diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma, breast cancer, and it's metastasized, I think is the word, to other areas of the body. So at first we thought that we were going to do surgery and cut off the breast and everything's good. And they did another CT scan last week, and now that's not an option anymore. And I'm not, I've decided I don't want to go for the radiation and chemo. So I've chose to go with the MAID option, which is medical assistance in dying, for those that don't know. And that's a pretty controversial subject right now. But for me, I have to do what works for me and not care what Sue thinks or Bobby thinks or Joe thinks or Mary thinks. I have to do what's right for me and my body. And this is what I've come up with. So on that, knowing that I'm going to have a date that I'm going to die, I've had a lot of questions of, well, are you going to go out and get drunk now? Because,
It would cross the mind.
Yeah. And I've had lots of people, even like cousins, aunts that are in the program, and they're like, oh, so now you can go out and get shit-faced. And, I said, and go gambling. And I'm like, you know what? I said, like, for me, my sobriety was a gift. I look at it as a gift. And it was a huge gift that God gave to me to take those addictions away. I also had the gambling, I had smoking and drinking that were all taken away. And for me, it would be, I think, disrespectful for me to drink at this point, because I look at that God gave me these gifts, and to just go and throw that all away and drink, my luck, I'm just joking, because I think once they give you the needles, you're pretty much gone. But my luck, maybe something would happen and I'd still be here, and then I'd have to start back at day one again. So, but no, honestly, it's just, like I said, it was a huge miracle and a huge gift that God gave me, and I wouldn't want to throw that away. So
did you grapple with that for a little bit? You didn't go back and forth and think, well, maybe the hell with it?
No, not at all. I want to go to my death sober, clean heart, clean slate, and no, it's not my life anymore. It's not. I don't even miss drinking. I think that's the biggest gift, is that I see people drinking, my partner drinks, like it doesn't faze me to want it anymore. Like I've cut that. I don't know. I never really did crave alcohol, but even through this whole part of sobriety, I didn't. I will tell you a funny story about after I got sober this time. I was 1 year in the program, and I was living with a guy, and you'll hear people in some meetings that'll say, don't get into relationships until after a year, right?
Yeah.
And so I was living with this guy, and it was exactly almost a year to the date that he got into a fight with me and my son and beat us up and set our house on fire.
I remember.
And that was sober. That was 1 year sober. And he was actually sober. He had maybe one beer in him that night. So I'm thinking that there was mental health issues that were undiagnosed, unmedicated. But I can see why now.
You were in the house at the time.
Yeah. We ran out. We were lucky. We got out. My son, if Tyler hadn't have been there, I don't think the results would have been the same, because he basically saved me, with him yelling to get off me and stuff. So, but yeah, that was pretty crazy. That was about the craziest thing. But again, I can say I burnt my life to the ground, because today, that person wouldn't have even gotten, a high from me. It's these what we attract. And I look back to those early years in sobriety of what I attracted, and it's true that wait a year or 2 or 3 maybe, because my choices were definitely crazy still within those first few years of sobriety. And thank God I had a good sponsor.
You're not alone, because I did exactly the same as you. I got in a relationship. I started the business.
Yeah.
The relationship went downhill because she was hooked on Oxy. She fell asleep with cigarettes, and I was, scared shitless that she was going to burn the house down. So we have so many similarities.
Yeah.
And I still have the business, but thank God I don't have the girl anymore.
Yeah.
Wish her well, but she was a nightmare.
Well, I had in 2023, in August, September, I started getting calls that people were testing positive for COVID again. And I just said, I can't do this anymore. I'm not going through that again, because during COVID, it was crazy having to rearrange schedules. And we closed down for the first 3 weeks of COVID. And then because my designation was an air filter, certified air filter specialist. So I did a lot of research on COVID, and when I felt that it was comfortable enough, that I felt comfortable enough to restart, I did, and we just did a slow restart. So for the first 2 weeks, it was just our regular customers, and then 2 weeks after that, it was the customers that we had cleaned for in the past, and then the next 2 weeks were just we opened it up to the public then, but I just wanted to gauge how things were going to go with people that we knew, because believe it or not, there are crazy people out there. And if I had a feeling that if I was cleaning somebody's house one day and they happened to go to Costco and they caught COVID, they would blame it on us because we were in there that day, right?
Yeah.
So I just decided to stay closed mostly because of that reason. But yeah, when it went to that they were testing again, I couldn't do it. So I shut the company down, went to Newfoundland for a couple of months, and a company that I had been subcontracting for, they called me and they wanted me to come on full time with them, and they were going to pay benefits and bonus, and they gave me a truck to drive and all that stuff. And they were great. They were a great company to work for. My sales were climbing. I had to start with zero. I started with a zero territory, no customers, and
I then became a customer again.
Yeah, you did again. Once again, you were my customer again, and you did. You stuck by me from every place that I was at, and yeah. So then in May, I wasn't feeling good, and just went to see my doctor, and she put me off actually on a stress leave, but. I got diagnosed on July 8th, so I was on short-term disability when I was actually diagnosed, and it was pretty quick. I felt the lump in April, and July 8th was when they found it, and it's at stage 4. It came on really fast.
It did.
Yeah.
When I can't remember when you text me.
Yeah.
But it all seemed super fast.
It was. And even when they did that first initial CT scan, which was in July, I just had one done last week at Rocky View, and it's spread now into the chest wall, and more lymph nodes are filled, and So it's definitely growing. I don't know, they call them turbo cancers, and I can see why now, because I did have a chest x-ray done in April of this year and nothing showed there. So even if I did a mammogram every year, like, they still wouldn't have caught it, you know.
Can I ask you, this is a personal question.
Yep.
Are any of your decisions based on the fact that you had fibromyalgia and you became exhausted and tired of being in pain?
Yes. Yes. So what happened was, after I felt that lump, I put it on my schedule to talk to my doctor about the next appointment that we had. I had already booked an appointment with her to discuss MAID prior to knowing that I had cancer. And the week before I was supposed to see her was when all of this came out. But every time I would pray, I was praying to die. And when I went in to have the biopsy done, I asked the radiologist, I said, can you tell me if this is cancer before you do that? And she said, no, we still have to do that. And I said, because I'm actually praying that it is. And she said, what? And I said, yeah. I said, because if it is, then I can go through with MAID, because it's a terminal illness. And but now later I just found out that I actually would have qualified for fibro. And if I didn't have the fibromyalgia pain that has progressed quite significantly over the last 2 years, I would have fought this. But to fight this and still have to be stuck in my bed, I just don't see the point. And it's taken a lot from me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know you regret, because, you know, we've been friends and I've seen the deterioration from the cleaning business and going through all of that. And then when you came back, getting into the filtration business, but then you still struggled.
Oh, yeah.
Health-wise.
Yeah. Well, even the last, just before I went off on short term, I had to do a walkthrough at a wastewater treatment plant, and the guy was taking me around, and they have tunnels that go under them, and Mike happened to be in the truck waiting for me that day, and by the time I got back to the truck, my face was red, half of my sock was down in my boot, and I was just gone. I was so overwhelmed, and just because I've got shortness of breath with this as well. One of the tumors they think is pushing up against the chest, up against my heart, and up against the lungs. So I get short-winded really easy. So trying to keep up with these young guys was okay, this is going to be a problem going forward, that I'm not going to be able to do this.
So you had actually made an appointment with MAID before this was all discovered?
No, because my appointment with Dr. Vanessa wasn't until June 17th, and I got diagnosed on July 17th, and my appointment with what happened was I got out of the shower and I noticed there was my boot breast was gone purple, and I put that picture into GPT chat. And it came out and said, you need to be seen right away. It's urgent. And so then I typed back in, well, I have a family doctor appointment. No, you need to go now. So I said, all right. So we went, myself and Mike, we went to South Health Urgent Care down in South McLeod Trail. And she did her ultrasound and she said, we're going to send you for a full ultrasound tomorrow morning. But I could tell by the look of her face, it wasn't good. And I could see what she was looking at. And I said, that doesn't look very good. And I think her outside voice slipped because she goes, I know. And I said, wait a second, but.
Not exactly what you wanted to hear.
Well, nobody wants to hear that word, right? And
no.
So when I went in for the mammogram and ultrasound the next day, the radiologist came out and she said, why did you wait so long? And I said, well, what do you mean wait so long? She said, you were here in 2021 and then you didn't come back. And I said, because there was nothing to come back for. And she said, well, we've been screening for that. And I said, well, I know the screening I used to get for pap smears, but once I had a hysterectomy, I didn't have to go back anymore. Those stopped. But I never got those for mammograms. And they did tell me why is because they changed in Alberta, they changed the screening from 45 years old to 50 years old. So I'm just turned 49, so I just missed the cutoff of when they would have screened me anyways. And even one of my best friends, she had a double mastectomy, and I said to her, what symptoms or signs did you have? She said none. She didn't even know she had it, and it showed up on her mammogram. So, yeah, there was, and then by the time, so from July 8th being diagnosed to them saying that my surgery, it was supposed to be urgent, wasn't going to be till September 26th. And at the rate that this thing is growing, like, make no wonder now, like, it's just inoperable because it's gone too far. Well, yeah, they let it go too far, you know? So
do you think they could have done something different?
Oh, for sure. If I had have been looked at that week, for sure, there could have been no, because this is just like, it went all crazy, like from like this week to July, that week in July, it's just completely gone out of control, right? It's gone everywhere. So
just to put things in perspective for the people listening, it is now September 20th.
yeah.
So not a lot of time. But if we can just back up a little bit,
Yeah.
you were praying that it was.
Yes. Yeah.
So you have no regrets.
No.
And I'm still blown away, as I'm sure a lot of people are, that you wouldn't just say, "The hell with it,"
Yeah.
and do something. So it just seems so bizarre because every addict I know,
Yeah.
including myself, wants
Maybe
something
that
like,
one more drink,
something
right?
like,
Or-
well, that reason that everybody could say, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
like,
we
you
could
know,
see why she went
we
out,
can see it
right?
and forgive it or whatever. But you just don't want to.
No, even with the gambling, like my mom's here right now and she gambles. She doesn't have a problem with it. And gambling for me has been hard. That's been one urge that I've really had to, like, I pray. I pray when I pass casinos. If I have to go to a trade show and it's in a casino, I pray. I talk to my sponsor quite a lot more when I'm in those places. And like, for the first week she was here, I knew she was going, and I asked her, I said, please don't, like, I don't need to know where you're going. And now it hasn't bothered me, but that's the only one that I think I could have came close to, going gambling with my mom, like just something to do. And because there's not much that we do together. So, but at the same time, when you're in a casino, you're not really spending time together anyways, you know, she's on one slot machine, I'm 10 away. Right. So like, I couldn't even justify, there's no reason to do it. And I think it's a huge waste of money. So that Mike or my kids can use for, you know, themselves and whatever things they need. So, yeah, it's, that was the only one. And the smoking, I can't even stand the smell of it anymore. Thank God I got to that point. But it's just, no.
Wow. I quit smoking 8 years ago in June.
Yeah.
When you got sober.
Yeah.
When I moved in here. And I can tell you, it was about 4 months ago. There was a girl, and I said, I just want to have a puff. And I could have been, if I had a full cigarette, I'd be down in the store buying a pack.
Yeah.
That's how, and I thought about it. I think I had 2 puffs, and I thought about it for a month after, and I went, woo.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. And I think of the way, like when people say that God took the craving away from them for alcohol, that's the way, because I didn't have that craving. Either time, I didn't have a craving for alcohol, but for cigarettes, I did. I loved smoking.
Me too.
And so when that one comes up, I'm just like, no, not doing it because, you know, and that's the thing, like, I didn't even plan to quit. Like, it was taken out of my hands, really. I was on the phone with Mike, and I had finished my last cigarette for the night, and I'm like, oh, man. Like, I hated running out at nighttime because I was a professional smoker. I had to have that cigarette first thing in the morning, right? So
Yeah.
I said to him, I can either go to the gas station now or I can wake up as a non-smoker, I guess. And that's what happened. And then about 4 days later, I was at Costco and I passed by this rack and it was full of Nicorette gum. And I threw one in the cart and thought, you know, maybe I will have cravings. They're not there right now, but maybe they will.
You didn't have any in the first 4 days?
And so then Tiffany had come over. My friend Tiffany came over, and I'm like, "Here, take these. Try to quit smoking." Well, I put them on. I did try them. At first, I cut them in half because I felt that they irritated my skin. So I put one on, and it ended up in my sweater. It wasn't on my skin. And then the next one I lost. I don't even know where it went. So I'm like, these aren't working. I don't need them. And yeah, and of course, it was the Costco size. So I think there was like 200 or 300 patches in this thing, right? And so I said to Tiffany, "Yeah, here, give these a try," right? So yeah, no, I didn't have, but I truly believe that God took that craving away, because there's no way I ever thought I'd quit smoking. I quit for both pregnancies, but that was because I kind of, in my mind, I just thought that it wasn't my body at the time. Like I was sharing my body with somebody else, and it's rude to smoke in front of somebody else, and I'm putting their life at danger. So yeah, I quit for both pregnancies, but once they were out, it's like, okay, come on, bring me, wheel me out. I'm going for a smoke, right? So yeah, it was quite different.
Wow, I've never heard anybody that was able to just pray it away like that.
Yeah.
I don't think I prayed, but I just decided after a while that either I'm going to quit or I'm not. Because I tried to quit for 10 years, but I'd rip the patch off and I'd have a smoke, and just half in, half out.
Yeah.
It didn't work, right?
Yeah.
We're almost out of time, so
All
if you
right.
want, we'll come back and do part 2, because there's still a few things I want to ask you.
Sure.
All right. Thanks, and we're going to hope that everybody has another 24. Take care.